She has maybe 3 seconds. She does the only thing she can think of. She leans down and kisses him. Full. Sudden. Devastating. The table goes silent. His bodyguard moves. She doesn't stop. Jae-won is so shocked he freezes. And in that freeze, his hand releases the glass. It tips. The wine spills across the white tablecloth like blood. A private rooftop dinner. Seoul's skyline behind them. Expensive suits, low music, the kind of silence that has security guards in it. This is a gathering of the Park crime family's inner circle. Lieutenants, captains, the father's most trusted men. At the center of it all, Jae-won Park. The heir. Composed, magnetic, quietly terrifying. Everyone in that room would die for him. Or so he thinks. Maya is serving. One of several waitstaff brought in for the private event. She is moving efficiently, invisibly, the way servers are trained to be at events like this. She has done this before at this venue. She knows the rhythm. She reaches Jae-won's table to refill water. She notices the wine already poured in his glass, deep red, undisturbed. Something about it catches her eye. A faint shimmer on the surface. A residue on the inner rim that wasn't there when she poured it 20 minutes ago. She has seen that before. Her father, a toxicologist who died exposing a pharmaceutical company, showed her exactly what slow-acting potassium cyanide looks like in red wine when the light hits it right. Jae-won reaches for the glass. She has maybe 3 seconds. She does the only thing she can think of. She leans down and kisses him. She pulls back. Her heart is hammering. His eyes are locked on hers, not with anger. With something she can't read yet. Then his bodyguard grabs her arm. From across the room, one man is not surprised. Chairman Park, Jae-won's father, watches the spilled wine seep into the cloth. His expression doesn't change. But his jaw tightens. She didn't just kiss his son. She just ruined everything. But the real question is, would you risk everything for one forbidden kiss? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you love intense mafia romance stories filled with danger, obsession, and shocking twists, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. His bodyguard moved. She felt the hand on her arm before she finished pulling back. Jae-won's eyes were locked on her face, not angry or shocked. Just completely, dangerously still. She held his gaze. "The wine," she said quietly. "Don't let anyone touch it." His bodyguard tightened the grip on her arm. She didn't move. Jae-won raised one hand, barely, just 2 fingers, and the bodyguard stopped. The whole table was watching. 20 men who had collectively killed more people than they remembered, and every single one of them was frozen, waiting to see what Jae-won Park would do with the woman who had just kissed him in front of God and his entire organization. He stood up slowly. "Bring her inside," he said. "And bag the glass." From across the room, Chairman Park had watched all of it. He watched the wine spill. He watched his son stand. He watched the waitress, calm, chin up, not flinching even with a bodyguard's hand locked around her arm. He picked up his drink, from his own private bottle, poured by his own private server, and took a slow sip. Then he looked at the woman's face one more time. She was younger than he expected, composed in a way that didn't fit the uniform. Her eyes were already reading the room, cataloging exits, clocking faces. He set his glass down. He pulled out his phone and typed 4 words to a number saved under no name. "Find out who she is." The test results came back in 11 minutes. Jae-won's head chemist confirmed it standing in the kitchen doorway, voice low, one hand gripping the doorframe. Potassium cyanide. Enough to stop a heart in under 4 minutes. Faster if the target was drinking on an empty stomach. Here is the thing about cyanide that most people never learn. It doesn't just stop the heart. It cuts the cells off from oxygen at the molecular level, so the body essentially suffocates from the inside out while the lungs keep working perfectly. The person dies breathing. Jae-won sat across from Maya in the back office and said nothing for a long time after the chemist left. "Why didn't you just knock it over?" he asked. "You wouldn't have believed a waitress telling you your drink was poisoned. You would have poured another glass." He looked at her. She was right and he knew it. "Who are you?" "Maya say. I'm on the catering list. You can check." "I already am." He leaned back. "How did you know what that was?" She told him about her father. "Not all of it." "Enough." He listened without interrupting, which she would later learn was rare. When she finished, he was quiet again for a moment. "Someone in that room poisoned that glass after it was poured," he said. "That means someone in that room knew exactly what I was drinking tonight, and exactly when I would drink it." He wasn't saying it to her. He was saying it to the wall. She stood up. "I'd like to go home." "You can't." "Excuse me. Whoever did this saw your face. You touched the evidence, and you're currently sitting in a back room with me." He met her eyes. "You're a loose end to them now whether you want to be or not." Her jaw tightened. Her hand stayed still. "Am I a loose end to you?" A pause. Short. Almost imperceptible. "Not yet," he said. The report on Maya Osei landed on Chairman Park's desk at 6 a.m. He read it standing up. 26 years old. Born in Accra, raised in London, relocated to Seoul 14 months ago on a student research visa. Toxicology postgraduate. Father deceased, Dr. Kwame Osei, a clinical researcher who died in a staged car accident after filing regulatory complaints against Daishin Pharmaceuticals in 2019. The chairman set the report down. He had known Daishin's board personally for 11 years. He poured his morning tea and stood at the window watching Seoul wake up below him. The Han River catching the early light, the bridges already thick with traffic, the city that his family had quietly controlled from the inside for 30 years. The girl hadn't been planted. That much was clear from the report. She was exactly what she appeared to be, a broke postgraduate working catering jobs to fund her mother's medical bills. Wrong place. Wrong table. Wrong eyes. But she had those eyes. And now his son wouldn't stop using them. J1 had called twice before dawn. Not to report the assassination attempt through the proper family channel. To ask whether the chairman had heard anything on his end. Careful. Neutral. Watching for a reaction. The chairman had given him nothing. He sat down and pulled up his contact list. He scrolled past names that would horrify governments. He stopped at one. Mr. Yoon. Fixer. 14 years of clean work. The kind of man who could make a problem look like it resolved itself. He dialed. I have something quiet, the chairman said. A woman. No connections, no protection, no profile. I need her removed from a situation without noise. Timeline. Before my son decides she matters. A pause on the line. Does she know anything? The chairman thought about the report. About her father. About the fact that she had identified a compound in poor lighting in under 3 seconds. Assume yes, he said. Maya was already awake when the knock came. 7:15 a.m. She had slept 2 hours on the safe house couch with her shoes on. One of Jae-won's men, Sung-min, the one with the quiet voice and the fast eyes, had driven her here at 2 a.m. and told her not to open the door for anyone but him. The knock came anyway. She went still. 3 knocks. Measured. Not urgent. The kind of knock designed to seem harmless. She moved to the window without touching the curtain and looked down at the street below. Black car. Engine running. No plates. She stepped back from the window. Her phone was in her hand before she fully decided to pick it up. She scrolled to the number Sung-min had given her. Use this and only this, and typed a message instead of calling because her voice wasn't ready yet. Someone's at the door. Black car outside, no plates, engine running. The response came in 40 seconds. Don't open it. Stay away from windows. I'm 12 minutes out. She moved to the bathroom. No windows. She sat on the edge of the tub and counted her breaths. Here is something most people don't know. Under acute stress, the human body dumps adrenaline so fast it temporarily narrows the arteries. Blood pressure spikes. Tunnel vision sets in. The brain drops every non-essential function and runs on pure threat response. It is the same biological mechanism that lets some people lift cars off trapped bodies, and the same one that makes trained soldiers freeze the first time they hear a shot fired at them. Maya's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs. The knock came a second time. Harder now. Then silence. Then the sound of the front door handle being tested from the outside. She looked at the bathroom door lock. Flimsy. The kind that gives with one kick. She picked up the metal soap dish from the edge of the tub. Held it. She heard the front door open. Footsteps on the hardwood floor. One person. Slow. Careful. Moving through the apartment like they already knew the layout. The footsteps stopped outside the bathroom door. A pause. Then Sung-min's voice. It's me. Took a secondary route. Don't hit me with whatever you're holding. She opened the door. He looked at the soap dish in her hand and said nothing. He looked at her face and said nothing about that either. We need to move you, he said. Now. Where? Somewhere the chairman's people don't know about. She stared at him. The chairman, she repeated. J1 will explain. Is he? He's fine. He's been up all night. Sung-min glanced at the window. So has his father. Maya set the soap dish down on the edge of the sink. She picked up her bag from the floor, already packed. She had done that at 3 a.m. on instinct, and walked past him into the hallway. His father sent them, she said. It wasn't a question. Sung-min didn't answer. That was answer enough. The drive took 19 minutes. Sung-min didn't speak. Maya didn't ask him to. She watched Seoul move past the tinted window. Street vendors setting up, school children in yellow caps crossing at the lights. The city doing its ordinary morning things completely unaware that somewhere in it a man had woken up and decided she needed to disappear. The new location was a narrow building in Mapogu. No signage. Underground parking. The kind of place that didn't exist on any map a civilian would use. J1 was already there. He was standing at a table covered in documents when she walked in. No jacket. sleeves rolled. A coffee going cold beside him that he clearly hadn't touched. He looked up when she entered and his eyes went to her bag first, already packed, and something moved across his face before he shut it down. "Sit down," he said. "Tell me about your father first." He looked at her. "Sit down," he said again. Quieter. She sat. He turned a document around on the table and slid it toward her. A financial record. 4 shell companies, transaction dates, a wire originating from a holding account. "The poison in that glass didn't come from a rival family," he said. "The access level, the inside knowledge of my schedule, the quality of the cover, it came from inside our structure." He let that land. "How far inside?" she asked. He didn't answer. He tapped the document. She looked at the bottom of the ownership chain and found the name. Park Holdings. She looked up at him. His jaw was tight. His eyes were steady. His right hand on the table was completely still. The way a person holds still when they are working very hard at it. "How long have you known?" she asked. "I suspected last night. Sung-min confirmed the trail at 4 this morning. And nothing. Not yet." She stared at him. "He tried to kill you. I'm aware. He just sent people to a safe house for me. Also aware. So what exactly are you waiting for?" He pulled the document back and turned it face down. He finally picked up the cold coffee and drank it anyway. "My father built everything," he said. "The alliances, the structures, the agreements that keep 300 people employed and alive. You dismantle the chairman without a transition plan, and half of Seoul bleeds. That's not a reason. That's an excuse." His eyes came up sharp. She didn't look away. The silence stretched long enough to be its own kind of conversation. "I need 2 days," he said finally. "To do what?" "To make sure that when I move, it ends cleanly." She held his gaze for another moment. Then she nodded once and stood up. "Where are you going?" he asked. "To find a room with a lock." She picked up her bag. "Wake me if your father tries anything else." She walked down the hallway. He watched her go. Sung-min appeared at his shoulder. "She figured it out faster than our analysts did," Sung-min said. "I know. That's either very useful or very dangerous." "I know that too." Jae-won turned back to the documents. "Double the exterior detail. Rotate every 6 hours. Nobody gets close to this building without my direct confirmation." "And the chairman?" Jae-won picked up a pen. "Tell him I'm resting. Tell him the investigation is ongoing. Tell him whatever keeps him comfortable for 48 hours. Sung-min left without another word. At 11 a.m., Jae-won's forensic accountant sent a secondary file. Jae-won opened it alone. The compound used to stabilize the cyanide in the wine, the element that extended its shelf life in liquid without altering the color or smell, was not commercially produced. It existed in exactly one place. A pharmaceutical laboratory operating under a research exemption granted by the Korean Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. The exemption had been filed 18 months ago. The signatory on the application was a shell entity. The shell entity traced back through 2 more layers and landed on a private investment account. The account holder was listed as a medical research foundation. The foundation's founding donor, a single contribution of 400 million won, was anonymous. The transfer timestamp, the routing bank, and the account structure were identical to a payment pattern Jae-won had seen before. He had seen it because his father had taught him what it looked like when you needed money to move without a name attached. He sat back in his chair. His father hadn't just ordered the hit. He had been building toward it for 18 months. This wasn't a decision made in anger. This wasn't a power struggle that escalated. This was a plan, patient-funded, chemically engineered, that had been running quietly underneath everything while Jae-won sat at family dinners and quarterly meetings and said, "Yes, father," and "Of course, father," and never once looked at the man across the table and understood what was actually there. He closed the file. He sat in the quiet room for 4 minutes without moving. Then he picked up his phone and called the one council member he trusted absolutely, a man named Director Beck who had known Jae-won since he was 8 years old and had never once lied to him about anything. "I need a private meeting," Jae-won said. "Tonight." Nothing recorded. A pause. "Is this about your father?" Director Beck asked. Jae-won said nothing. "I'll be there at 9, Beck said and hung up. Maya found the compound's small kitchen at noon and made herself rice and eggs because the alternative was sitting in a locked room thinking about the black car with no plates and the door handle turning from the outside. Sung-min appeared in the doorway. "You cook," he said. "I survive," she said. "Different thing." He almost smiled. "Not quite." She slid a second plate across the counter without asking if he wanted it. He sat down and ate, and they didn't speak for a few minutes. The comfortable silence of 2 people who were both too alert to make small talk. "How long have you worked for him?" she asked. 11 years. "You knew his father the whole time?" "Yes." "Did you ever think he was capable of this?" Sung-min set his chopsticks down. "I think," he said carefully, "that men who build empires are always capable of this. The empire always comes first. That's what makes them good at building empires. She thought about her own father. About the pharmaceutical company's lawyers who had shown up at their flat 3 days before he died with a settlement offer and warm smiles. And J1, she asked. J1 is different. Sungmin picked his chopsticks back up. That's his problem. Mr. Yoon had been in the business of making problems disappear for 14 years, and he had a rule that had kept him alive through all of it. Never get curious. Do the job. Take the money. Go home. Never ask why. He was breaking that rule now. Not visibly, not in any way the chairman could read. But internally, sitting across from Chairman Park in the man's private study, he was very curious indeed. The chairman wanted the girl gone quietly. Standard enough. But the chairman had also specified that his son could not know it was happening. That the operation had to look organic. A threat from an outside party. A woman who had gotten scared and disappeared on her own. 14 years. He had never once been hired to hide the job from the client's own family. He took the file on Maya Osei and said he'd have a plan by evening. He left the Park estate and sat in his car in the driveway for 30 seconds longer than necessary. Then he drove. By 3 p.m., Mr. Yoon had Maya's new location. Not from surveillance. Not from following Sungmin's car. He had it because he had spent 11 years quietly and patiently building one source inside every major organization in Seoul. Not for blackmail, not for leverage. Just for moments exactly like this one. His source inside the Park operation was a junior logistics coordinator who handled safe house assignments. The coordinator didn't know who Mr. Yoon was. He thought he was feeding information to a private security auditing firm. Mr. Yoon looked at the address on his phone. Mapogu. Narrow building. Underground access. Smart choice for a secondary location. Off the main safe house registry, low profile, residential enough to blend. He pulled up a satellite image and studied the building's footprint for 3 minutes. Then he called 2 of his people. Soft entry. Observation only for now. I want to know the guard rotation, the entry points, and whether the subject moves between now and tonight. And if she moves, follow. Don't touch. I want her pattern first. He ended the call. He sat back and thought about the chairman's voice on the phone that morning. The particular flatness of it when he'd said, "Before my son decides she matters." He pulled up the surveillance photo his source had sent. Maya leaving the original safe house with Sungmin, bag already on her shoulder, face forward, no hesitation. She had packed before they told her to move. Mr. Yoon had moved a lot of people in his career. People who packed before they were told to were the ones who thought 3 steps ahead. Those were the jobs that went wrong. He picked up his phone again and called the chairman. I need clarification on the parameters, he said. I was clear, the chairman said. The girl is sharper than the file suggests. If I go soft on the entry and she reads it, we lose the element of surprise and your son finds out before we've finished. A pause. What are you recommending? Let me talk to her first. Excuse me? One conversation. I approach as a neutral party. A fixer hired by a third family concerned about the assassination attempt. I read her. If she's purely civilian, she'll be easy to manage. If she's more than that. She's a waitress, the chairman said. She's a toxicology postgraduate who identified a stabilized cyanide compound in poor lighting in under 3 seconds, Mr. Yoon said. She's a waitress the way you're a businessman. Silence on the line. You have until tonight, the chairman said. After that I'm no longer interested in soft options. The call ended. Mr. Yoon looked at Maya's photo one more time. Her eyes in the image were looking slightly off camera. Not at the photographer, not straight ahead. Slightly to the left. Clocking something peripheral at the exact moment the shot was taken. He had worked with special operations soldiers who didn't have eyes like that. He started the car. Maya was in the small room at the back of the building when she felt it. Nothing she could name. No sound, no movement, nothing visibly wrong. Just a shift in the quality of the silence outside. The street noise dropping half a register the way it does when people who are trying to be still are close. She moved to the door and opened it quietly. The hallway was empty. She walked to the front room where the guard on rotation, a man named Day, was supposed to be stationed by the window. His chair was empty. Her heart rate jumped. She didn't move for 3 seconds. Then she heard Day's voice from the stairwell, low, speaking into his radio, doing a routine check-in. She breathed. She stood in the empty front room and looked out the window at the street below. Ordinary afternoon. Foot traffic. A woman with a stroller. 2 teenagers on bikes. And a man sitting in a parked car 50 meters down the road who had been there for 40 minutes without checking his phone once. Most people check their phone every 4 minutes on average. A pattern so consistent that behavioral analysts use phone interaction as a baseline metric for spotting surveillance personnel in crowded environments. This man hadn't looked at his once. Maya stepped back from the window. She went to find Sungmin. Sungmin looked at the window. Then at Maya. Then back at the window. He didn't touch the curtain. How long? He asked. At least 40 minutes when I spotted him. Could be longer. One car. One that I can see. He pulled out his radio and spoke into it fast and low. 2 clicks came back. Then 1. His jaw tightened. There's a second on the east side, he said. Motorcycle. Parked at the corner. Observation or entry? He looked at her sideways. Observation, he said. For now. So they know where we are. Yes. And they're not moving. Not yet. She thought about that. Someone had found them fast. Too fast for a rival family working cold intelligence. This was an inside line. Someone in the park structure had given up this address within hours of them arriving. She didn't say that out loud. Sungmin was already thinking it. She could see it in the way he was very carefully not looking at his own men stationed in the hallway. I want to talk to Jae-won, she said. He's in a meeting. I know. I still want to talk to him. Sungmin studied her face for a moment. Then he handed her his phone with Jae-won's number already pulled up. She called. He picked up on the second ring. We've been found, she said. 2 vehicles. Stationary. They're watching, not moving, which means either they're waiting for dark or someone is making a decision they haven't finished making yet. A beat of silence. How did you spot them? Jae-won asked. The driver hadn't checked his phone in 40 minutes. Another silence. Longer. Put Sungmin on. She handed the phone back. Sungmin listened for 40 seconds, said understood twice, and ended the call. We stay put, he said. We stay put, she repeated. He's sending 2 additional teams. And he's ending his meeting early. She nodded. She went back to the kitchen and stood at the counter and looked at her own hands flat on the surface. They were steady. She wasn't sure when that had happened. Mr. Yoon called off his vehicles at 4 p.m. Not because the situation had changed. Because a third car had appeared on the street below, black, no plates, 2 men in the front who moved their eyes the way professionals move their eyes. And then a fourth, positioned at the building's rear exit. Jae-won Park had reinforced the location, which meant the girl had spotted his people and called it in. In under an hour. Mr. Yoon sat in his own car 3 blocks away and recalculated everything. He called the chairman. The soft entry window is closed, he said. She made my surveillance in under an hour and called in additional security. We are now looking at a hardened position with at least 6 armed personnel. The chairman said nothing for a moment. Your recommendation? A different approach entirely. Mr. Yoon watched a tram roll past the end of the street. Let me meet her. I already said no. You said no to using it as a read. I'm suggesting something different now. He paused. Let me make her an offer she chooses herself. No coercion. No force. A number large enough that she walks away and doesn't look back. And your son has no body, no evidence, and no reason to go to war with you over a woman who simply left. A long pause. And if she refuses? Then we know she's not here for the money. What does that tell us? It tells us she's here for him. Mr. Yoon let that sit. And that's a problem you can't solve with my skill set. The chairman hung up. Mr. Yoon waited. 3 minutes later, a text arrived. 1 meeting. Public place. Tonight. The message came through Sungmin at 6 p.m. A neutral party. Introduced only as a representative of a third family concerned about the assassination attempt. Was requesting a brief meeting with Maya. Public location. Her choice of venue. She could bring security. Sungmin read it to her with the flat voice of a man who didn't believe a word of it. Third family, Maya said. That's what it says. Who sent the message? Routed through a clean number. Untraceable. She was quiet for a moment. It's not a third family, she said. No. It's him. The father. Most likely. She looked at the window. The surveillance cars were gone now. Pulled back after Jae-won's reinforcements arrived. But gone wasn't the same as not there. Tell them yes, she said. Sungmin turned to look at her directly for the first time in the conversation. Maya. Tell them yes. Public place, I pick the venue, I bring security. She met his eyes. If they wanted me dead, they had a clean window this morning, and they didn't take it. Someone wants to talk. I want to hear what they say. Jae-won will. I'll tell him myself. She called Jae-won before Sungmin could object further. She laid it out plainly. The message. Her read. Her decision. Jae-won was quiet for a long moment. You're not asking my permission, he said. No. You're telling me so I can have people in place. Yes. Another silence. She could hear him thinking. The particular quality of quiet that meant he was running scenarios. Pick somewhere with 2 exits and outdoor seating, he said. I want line of sight from across the street. I know a place. Of course you do. Something in his voice that wasn't quite warmth, but was adjacent to it. Don't order anything you didn't watch being made. She smiled. I know, she said. I know what to look for. The cafe was in Yongsan-gu. Corner location. Glass frontage. Outdoor terrace with 4 tables, all visible from the street. 2 exits. front door, and a service door through the kitchen that Maya had confirmed with the manager on a previous visit 6 months ago when she'd worked a private event in the building next door. She arrived 12 minutes early and sat with her back to the wall and her face to the street. Jaewon's people were already in position. She couldn't see them, which meant they were good. She knew they were there because Jaewon had sent her a single text 40 minutes ago. "We're set." She ordered hot water with lemon. Watched it being made. Watched the cup the entire way to her table. Mr. Yoon arrived at exactly the agreed time. She knew immediately he wasn't from a third family. He was too clean for muscle. Too still for management. He moved through the cafe the way water moves around objects. Effortless, purposeful, taking the path of least resistance without appearing to choose it. He clocked her table, clocked both exits, clocked the street outside in one smooth visual sweep that took less than 2 seconds. Then he sat down across from her and folded his hands on the table. "Ms. Osei," he said. "Thank you for meeting me." "You're not from a third family," she said. He looked at her for a moment. Then he nodded once, a small concession that told her he wasn't going to waste her time with the script. "No," he said. "I'm not." "Who hired you?" "I think you already know." She watched his face. It gave her nothing, not blankness, which was performed, but a genuine neutrality. The face of a man who had spent years making sure his expressions cost him nothing. "What do you want?" she asked. He reached into his jacket and produced an envelope. He placed it flat on the table between them and took his hand away. He didn't push it toward her. Just left it there. "There is enough in that envelope to cover your mother's full treatment at Severance Hospital, their top oncology unit, which has one of the highest recovery rates in East Asia for her specific diagnosis. Your remaining student debt. First and last on a flat in London, Accra, or anywhere else you'd like to be." He said it without flourish, like a man reading a weather report. "And I disappear," she said. "You leave." Quietly. A note to Jaewon, your words, whatever you want to say. No one follows you. No one contacts you. You live your life. She looked at the envelope. She thought about her mother in the ward at Yulji Medical Center, a public facility doing its best with overcrowded resources and underfunded equipment. Her mother's chart showing a treatment timeline that stretched 18 months longer than it needed to because the better options cost more than Maya could earn in 3 years of double shifts. She looked back at Mr. Yoon. "And if I say no?" He held her gaze. He didn't answer immediately, and the pause told her more than any answer would have. He was a man with contingencies. He didn't like them. But he had them. "I'd rather you didn't," he said finally. "That's not an answer. It's the honest one." She sat with that. The street outside was ordinary. A couple walking a dog. A delivery rider cutting between parked cars. Seoul doing its indifferent afternoon things. She thought about her father, about the settlement offer and the warm smiles and the lawyers who had shown up 3 days before he died to tell him it wasn't too late to make a sensible decision. He had said no. She pushed the envelope back across the table. Mr. Yoon looked at it. He didn't pick it up. "Can I ask why?" he said. "Because the man who sent you already tried to kill his own son," she said. "A man like that doesn't honor exit agreements." Mr. Yoon was quiet for a moment. "You're right," he said. She stared at him. That was not what she expected him to say. "Then why are you here?" she asked. "Because I was hired to give you the option." He picked the envelope up and returned it to his jacket. "And because I wanted to see if you'd take it." "Why does that matter to you?" He studied her face for a long moment. "In my experience," he said carefully, "people who turn down that kind of money when their mother is sick are either very stupid or very certain of something." He tilted his head slightly. "You're not stupid. What am I certain of?" "That's what I'm trying to work out." A silence settled between them. Not hostile. Almost peculiarly respectful. "He's going to send someone else," she said. "After you report back." "Yes." "Someone less interested in conversation." "Yes." She nodded slowly. "Then I'd appreciate it," she said. "If you took your time with the report." Mr. Yoon looked at her for a long moment. Then he stood, straightened his jacket, and picked up the coffee he had never touched. "I'm a slow writer," he said. He walked out through the front entrance. Maya sat at the table and breathed for 30 seconds. Then she texted Jaewon one word. "Done." His reply came in under 10 seconds. "Coming to you." She looked out at the street and waited. Jaewon came through the cafe door 4 minutes later. No security inside. Just him. He scanned the room once, found her table, and crossed to it without stopping. He sat down in the same chair Mr. Yoon had used and looked at her face the way a man looks at something he was afraid might be broken. She wasn't. He could see that. Some of the tension in his face released. "Tell me everything," he said. She did. Word for word. The envelope. The offer. Mr. Yoon's face when she pushed it back across the table. Jaewon listened without moving. "He said you were right," Jaewon said when she finished. "That my father wouldn't honor the agreement." "Yes. And you believed him." "I believed that part." Jaewon was quiet for a moment. He looked at the table where the envelope had been, at nothing really. Just a point to rest his eyes while he thought. He's not a bad man, Jaewon said. Yoon. He's just very good at a bad job. I know. That's why I asked him to slow down his report. Jaewon's eyes came up. And he agreed. He didn't disagree. He studied her for a long moment. You walked into a meeting with my father's fixer and came out with a delay, he said. I came out with information, she said. The delay is a bonus. What information? Your father doesn't know what I know. If he did, the offer would have been a bullet, not an envelope. She folded her hands on the table. He thinks I'm a civilian who got lucky. He thinks this is about you and me. It's not. It's about the compound. The pharmaceutical lab. Park Holdings. The 18 months of planning. She held his gaze. I have everything I found documented and stored somewhere he can't reach. He doesn't know that yet. The cafe was quiet around them. A barista grinding beans. Someone's phone ringing twice and stopping. Jaewon looked at her with an expression she hadn't seen on him before. Not surprise exactly. Something closer to recalibration. You built a dead man's switch, he said. I built leverage, she said. There's a difference. What's the difference? A dead man's switch goes off when you die. Leverage keeps you alive. He was quiet for a beat. Where is it? Somewhere that isn't here and isn't with anyone you know. She said it without apology. If your father finds out I have it, it stops working. So right now you don't know where it is either. He should have pushed back. She could see him consider it. A flicker of something that was almost irritation. Then it settled. Fair, he said. She hadn't expected that either. She looked at him. Really looked, the way she hadn't let herself since the night on the rooftop. He was exhausted. Not physically. The other kind, the kind that accumulated over years of watching your back in rooms that were supposed to be safe. When did you first suspect him? She asked. He didn't answer immediately. A year ago, he said. A council vote didn't go the way my father expected. He was calm about it. Too calm. He paused. My father is never calm when he loses. So I started watching. And I saw enough to know something was moving underneath everything. I just didn't know the target. Until the wine. Until the wine. She sat with that. A year of carrying that particular suspicion alone. The knowledge that the threat was close without being able to name it. She thought about what that weight did to a person over 12 months. What it required you to shut down just to keep functioning. That's a long time to know something you can't prove, she said. Yes, he said. Simply. No elaboration. She nodded once. Outside, the evening was coming in fast. Seoul's sky going from pale gray to deep blue in the way it did in spring, the streetlights flickering on one by one down the block. Director Beck, Jaewon said. The council member I met with last night. He's been watching my father longer than I have. He has documentation I don't, financial records, a witness account from 18 months ago, communications. Enough to move? Enough to take to the full council and make it stick. So move. Tomorrow night. Beck is convening a closed session. He looked at her steadily. It needs to be airtight before my father finds out it's happening. And tonight we don't move. Tonight we let my father think Yoon's meeting bought him time. She understood immediately. You want him comfortable. I want him making no decisions. His voice was flat and even. A man who thinks he has time makes no decisions. A man who thinks he's losing acts. And acting leaves evidence. Yes. She looked at him for a moment. You've been planning this longer than 2 days, she said. He said nothing, which was its own answer. They moved locations again at nightfall. A third building, this one above a dry goods store in Siadeemun-gu, access through the store's back storeroom. Sungmin had the keys. No one else in the organization knew it existed. Jaewon had purchased it privately 3 years ago under a name that connected to nothing. The space was sparse. Clean. 4 rooms, blacked-out windows, a landline that routed through 4 exchanges before it reached anything traceable. Jaewon had prepared it. Not for her. He had prepared it long before her. But she understood now what it was. The room he had built for the day he knew was coming. She stood in the main room and looked around at the bare walls, the single lamp, the table with a chair on each side. You knew it would come to this eventually, she said. Yes. And you stayed anyway. It's my organization. He set his jacket over the back of the chair. You don't abandon what's yours because it gets complicated. She thought about her father again. About staying at his post. About complicated being a catastrophic understatement for what it had cost him. Complicated, she said. That's one word. What's yours? She thought for a moment. Inherited, she said. The mess you're in isn't one you made. You just have to be the one who cleans it up. He looked at her. She wasn't sure what he was about to say. She wasn't sure she was ready for it. Get some sleep, he said instead. Tomorrow night requires both of us sharp. She took the back room. He took the chair at the table. She lay in the dark and listened to the sounds of the building settling and thought about leverage and dead man switches and the difference between the two. She was almost asleep when she heard him move the chair, the soft scrape of it, and then silence again. He had turned it to face the hallway. He was going to sit there all night. She stared at the ceiling for a long moment. Then she closed her eyes. Chairman Park did not sleep. He sat in his study with the lights low and a glass of water. He didn't drink, and laid out the situation the way he had laid out situations for 40 years. Methodically, without sentiment. Yoon had reported in at 10 p.m. The girl had refused the offer. Returned the envelope without hesitation. Requested a delay in his report, which Yoon had disclosed to his credit. Transparency about failure was what had kept Yoon useful for 14 years. The chairman processed the refusal. She was not motivated by money. That eliminated the cleanest option. What motivated her then? Loyalty to J1 after 4 days was not loyalty. It was adrenaline. Idealism, or perhaps, a strategic position she believed was more valuable than cash. He thought about her father, the toxicologist who had died rather than take a settlement. Genetics, he thought, was a persistent problem. He picked up his phone and opened a contact saved simply as K. K was not a fixer or a cleaner. K was a man who operated in the space between those things. A former intelligence officer who had spent 20 years with the National Intelligence Service before the chairman had offered him a number that reoriented his loyalties entirely. The NIS, South Korea's primary intelligence agency, trained its officers in surveillance, psychological operations, and information warfare to a standard that most private operators couldn't approach. K had finished top of his cohort. The chairman typed a message. I need the girl's leverage removed before tomorrow night. Whatever she's holding, find it and destroy it. Then we can discuss next steps. K's response came in 90 seconds. I'll need everything you have on her background. All of it. The chairman forwarded the file Yoon had compiled. Then he added the addendum his own research team had built through the night. Her father's case history, the pharmaceutical complaint records, the toxicology thesis she had submitted 8 months ago under her postgraduate enrollment. He set the phone down. He picked up the glass of water and finally drank. At 2 a.m., K found the first thread. Maya's thesis had been submitted to a university server. Standard academic filing, encrypted in transit, stored in a protected partition. Routine access required faculty credentials. K had faculty credentials for 11 universities across South Korea, Japan, and the UK. Collecting them was a hobby he'd maintained since his NIS days. He accessed her submission folder in 4 minutes. The thesis itself was exactly what it claimed to be, a postgraduate research paper on stabilizing compound interactions in controlled pharmaceutical environments. Dense, technical, genuinely impressive. Buried in the appendix, filed under supplementary data, was a folder flagged with no title. Just a date, the night of the park rooftop dinner. He opened it. Photographs of the financial records. The shell company chain. The park holdings connection. The laboratory exemption filing. Every document Maya had found and copied. Clean scans, properly labeled, organized with a methodical clarity that made Kay sit back in his chair. She had uploaded it the morning after the dinner. Before anyone had moved against her. Before the safe house. Before Mr. Yoon. She had built the archive the moment she understood what she was looking at. Kay stared at the folder structure for a long moment. Then he checked the file's sharing settings. The folder was not just stored. It was linked, distributed to 3 external addresses on a timed release. Every 48 hours, unless a specific access code was entered from a verified device, the folder released automatically to all 3 addresses simultaneously. He checked the external addresses. One was a Seoul investigative journalist known for organized crime reporting. One was an International Financial Crimes Division contact at Interpol. One was a private attorney registered in London with a client list Kay couldn't fully penetrate. She hadn't built a dead man's switch. She had built a countdown clock. Kay called the chairman at 2:17 a.m. The leverage isn't a document, he said. It's an automated release to a journalist, a law enforcement contact, and a lawyer. Timed. 48 hours between resets. Silence on the line. When was the last reset? The chairman asked. Approximately 18 hours ago. Kay paused. Which means you have roughly 30 hours before it releases automatically, whether she's alive or not. The silence this time was longer. Can you dismantle it? The distribution mechanism, possibly given time. But she'll have a notification the moment anyone touches the archive. She'll know within seconds. How long to dismantle it without triggering the notification? More time than you have, Kay said. And that's assuming I can do it at all. The chairman set his glass down on the desk. The sound was very small in the quiet room. She needs to enter the code herself, he said. Yes. Voluntarily. Or under sufficient motivation. Another silence. Kay waited. He was good at waiting. 20 years of intelligence work had made patience his most reliable tool. Find out where she is, the chairman said finally. His voice had changed, the last trace of strategy gone from it, replaced by something flatter and colder. And this time don't give me options. Give me a solution. Kay ended the call and opened a new search window. 3 blocks away, though he didn't know it yet, in a room above a dry goods store in Seoul, Maya Osei was asleep, and the countdown clock was ticking. The closed session was called for 9 p.m. Director Beck had convened it under a standing emergency clause in the Park Family Council Charter, a provision that allowed a full session without the chairman's knowledge if 3 senior members co-signed the request. Beck had the 3 signatures by noon. He had been collecting them quietly for 11 months. The location was a council chamber beneath a private members' club in Gangnam-gu. Soundproofed. No phones past the door. 7 senior members seated at a round table with no head. A deliberate choice that went back to the organization's founding, designed so that no single man could claim the authority of position just by where he sat. Chairman Park had used that design against every man in that room for 30 years. Tonight it was being used against him. Jae-won arrived last. He sat down without greeting anyone and placed a single folder on the table in front of him. Director Beck, 71 years old, white-haired, with the unhurried manner of a man who had outlasted everyone who had ever underestimated him, looked around the table once. "We'll begin," he said. Jae-won spoke for 22 minutes without stopping. He laid it out the way he had laid it out in his own head for weeks. Clean, sequenced, no editorializing. The financial trail. The pharmaceutical laboratory. The shell company chain terminating at Park Holdings. The cover identity of the server who had poisoned the glass. The 18 months of preparation that preceded the attempt. He put documents on the table as he spoke. Beck added his own. The witness account, the communications intercepts, the financial records he had been sitting on for almost a year. The room was very quiet throughout. When Jae-won finished, he closed the folder and put his hands flat on the table and said nothing further. One of the council members, a heavy-set man named Counselor Shin who had known the chairman for 40 years, looked at the documents in front of him for a long time. "This is your father," Shin said. Not a challenge. Almost grief. "Yes," Jae-won said. "You're certain?" "I am." Shin looked at Beck. Beck looked back at him steadily. The vote to proceed required 5 of 7. Beck called it. The first 4 came quickly. The 5th, Shin, sat with his hands pressed together in front of his mouth for 30 seconds that felt considerably longer. Then he put his hand flat on the table. 5. Beck was reaching for the formal proceeding document when his phone, left on the table face up because he was 71 and had stopped pretending phones weren't necessary, lit up with a message from a number saved under no name. He glanced at it. His face didn't change. He turned the phone face down. But Jae-won had seen the screen for half a second. It was enough. He knew Beck's contact coding. That color border on the notification, red, thin, was the designation Beck used for his security team's emergency channel. Something was moving outside this room. Jae-won's own phone was in a signal-blocked box at the door with everyone else's. He stood up. "I need 60 seconds, he said to Beck. Beck looked at him. Something passed between them. "The session can pause," Beck said. Jae-won walked to the door, retrieved his phone from the box, and turned it on. 14 seconds to boot. 3 missed calls from Sung-min. 2 texts. The first text, "K's people, 4 of them, see a demon building. 20 minutes out when I sent this. That was 11 minutes ago." The second text, "She knows. She's moving. I can't reach you." Jae-won walked back to the doorway of the chamber. "Beck," he said. "Finish it without me." Beck looked up sharply. "Jae-won, you have 5 votes. You don't need me in the room." He was already moving. "Finish it." He was through the door before anyone spoke again. He called Sung-min on the stairs. "Where is she?" "Still in the building. She spotted K's approach vehicle 20 minutes ago. Same method, same read as yesterday. She's been coordinating our response herself." A pause. "Jae-won, she hasn't called me once to ask what to do. She's been telling me. How many do we have on site?" 4 inside. 2 on the roof. K is bringing 4. Even numbers. Not for long. I have 2 more teams 8 minutes out. K won't wait 8 minutes if he thinks the window is closing. Jae-won hit the ground floor and pushed through the exit into the cold night air. He's NIS trained. He'll move fast and he'll move now. His car was at the curb. His driver had the engine running before Jae-won reached the door. "See a demon," Jae-won said. "Fast." Maya heard them on the stairwell at 9:43 p.m. Not footsteps. The absence of footsteps, the specific careful silence of people who were trained to move without sound and were almost succeeding. She was already in the back room. Shoes on. Bag on. Phone in hand. She had reset the countdown clock 40 minutes ago. The moment she'd felt the quality of the street noise change outside. She wasn't going to let the archive release on its own terms tonight. If something happened to her in the next hour, she wanted it to go out as a choice, not a default. She typed a message to Sungmin's stairwell. At least 2. Possibly more. His response, I know. Don't move from that room. She looked at the door. The handle was the same cheap hardware as the safe house bathroom. 1 kick. She picked up the metal chair from the corner and wedged it under the handle. It wouldn't hold, but it would cost them 3 seconds. Sometimes 3 seconds was everything. She heard the front room door open. Fast, no hesitation, the way trained entry worked, quick and committed. 2 voices low in Korean. Movement. Then a sound she didn't expect. A short struggle. 1 impact. Silence. Then Sungmin's voice through the door. Maya. It's me. Don't hit me with the chair. She pulled the chair away and opened the door. Sungmin was in the hallway. One of K's men was on the floor behind him, zip-tied and breathing. Another of Jae-won's guards was coming in from the fire escape window at the end of the hall. 2 more on the stairs, Sungmin said. My people have them. We're clear inside. K. Not here personally. He sent a team. He's watching from outside, she said. He wouldn't come in himself. He's intelligence, not muscle. He'll be positioned somewhere with line of sight, running the operation remotely. Sungmin stared at her for a half-second. 3rd building east, he said into his radio. Check the upper floors. Look for a solo operator with communications equipment. A pause on the radio. Then, got him. 4th floor. He's already moving. Don't lose him, Sungmin said. He looked at Maya. She was standing in the doorway of the back room with her bag over one shoulder and her phone in her hand, and her face was completely steady. Her hands were not. She pressed them flat against her thighs, and he pretended not to see it. Jae-won's 12 minutes out, Sungmin said. He left the session? She looked up sharply. 7 minutes ago. She was quiet for a moment. The vote was already called. Beck has it. She absorbed that. She looked at the zip-tied man on the floor, and then at the window, and then at nothing in particular for a moment. He left before it finished, she said. Sungmin said nothing. She nodded slowly. Just once. And she didn't say anything else about it. Kay was gone by the time Jae-won's team reached the 4th floor of the eastern building. He had left clean, no equipment, no casings, nothing that identified him. Just a window left open, and a chair pulled to face the street below. Professional to the end. Jae-won arrived at the Sia Demon building at 9:58 p.m. He took the stairs. He came through the door into the hallway and found Maya sitting on the floor against the wall with her knees up and her phone in her lap. She looked up at him. He looked at her. Neither of them spoke for a moment. You left the session, she said. Yes. Before the vote finished. Beck had 5. He didn't need me. That's not why you left. He looked at her for a long moment. No, he said. It's not. The hallway was quiet around them. Sungmin had moved his people to the exterior. It was just the 2 of them and the sound of the city outside and the man zip-tied on the floor at the end of the hall who was very carefully pretending to be unconscious. Jae-won sat down on the floor beside her. Not across from her. Not standing over her. Beside her. Shoulder almost touching. Back against the same wall. She looked at him sideways. He was looking straight ahead. The council voted, he said. Beck just texted. 5-2. My father is to be called in tomorrow morning. And the transition? Begins immediately after. The half-brother? Sungmin is handling it tonight. She nodded. So it's done, she said. Almost. She understood. The hardest part wasn't done. The hardest part was tomorrow morning when his father walked into a room and found out that his son had built the case that ended him. She didn't say that. He knew it better than she did. They sat on the floor of the hallway for another minute without speaking. Thank you, he said finally. Quiet. No performance in it. She looked at him. For what specifically? The clock, he said. Building it before anyone told you to. Before you had any reason to trust that I'd protect you. A pause. You protected yourself. I protect myself first, she said. That's not new. I know. He glanced at her sideways. I'm thanking you anyway. She held his gaze for a moment. Then she looked back at the wall ahead of her. Don't make it weird, she said. Something moved across his face. Not quite a smile. Close. Get up, he said. We're moving locations again. Of course we are, she said. She stood. He stood. They didn't touch. But she went through the door first, and he held it, a half-second longer than necessary. And that was enough. Chairman Park arrived at the council building at 9 a.m. He came alone. No security. That had been the condition Beck's message specified. Come alone or don't come. And the chairman had honored it because arriving with bodyguards would have confirmed everything before he had a chance to assess the room. He was still assessing. Right up until he walked through the door and saw his son sitting at the round table. He stopped. He looked at Jae-won's face. And he understood completely instantly that there was nothing left to assess. He sat down across from his son. Beck sat to the left. 2 other council members flanked the room. Nobody spoke while the chairman settled into his chair and placed his hands flat on the table and looked at the documents already laid out in front of him. He read for 4 minutes without looking up. When he finished, he aligned the papers neatly against the table's edge. "How long?" he asked, looking at Jae-won. "I suspected for a year," Jae-won said. "I confirmed it 3 days ago." "The girl, among other things." The chairman looked at his son steadily. His face was its usual controlled surface, but something behind it had shifted. Not guilt, not remorse. The particular look of a man who had made a calculation and was now absorbing the fact that it had failed. "You understand why," the chairman said. "You told me," Jae-won said. "The alliance marriage. The transition to a more controllable heir. An empire decision. Yes, I understand the logic. But, there is no but," Jae-won said. "Understanding it doesn't change what it was." The chairman looked at him for a long moment. "You're more like me than you want to be," he said. "I know," Jae-won said. "That's what I'm working on." Something crossed the chairman's face. It was gone before it fully formed, but it had been there. Something that in another life, in another version of this room, might have been pride. Beck slid the document across the table. Formal retirement. Health grounds. Full withdrawal from council participation and operational involvement. Signed over to Jae-won's authority effective immediately. The language was clean and absolute. The chairman looked at it. "And if I don't sign," he said. Not threatening. Almost academic. Testing the edges of the room. "Then everything on that table goes to every allied family simultaneously," Jae-won said. "Your credibility, your alliances, the pharmaceutical connection, all of it. In one night. You'd burn the organization. I'd burn what you turned it into." Jae-won's voice stayed level throughout. "The organization survives. It survives because I've spent 3 days making sure the transition is clean enough to hold. But you don't." The chairman looked at his son for a long time. 40 years of building. Of calculating. Of making the empire decision every time, without exception, because that was what building required. He had made a son in that image, relentless, forward-moving, unsentimental. He had made him too well. He picked up the pen. He signed. He set the pen down and pushed the document back across the table and stood up without another word. At the door he stopped. He didn't turn around. "The girl," he said. "She won't survive this world." "She survived you," Jae-won said. "She'll manage." A pause. The chairman walked out. The door closed. The room held its breath for a moment. Then Beck picked up the signed document and looked at it and exhaled slowly through his nose. "It's done," he said. Jae-won said nothing. He was looking at the door his father had walked through. His jaw was set. His hands on the table were still. One of the council members began speaking. Transition protocols, immediate steps, the sequence of notifications that needed to go out before noon. Jae-won let the words move around him. He thought about being 16 years old and understanding for the first time what his father was. What the organization was. What it would require of him to stay inside it. He had stayed. He was still here. The councilman was still talking. Jae-won stood up and walked to the door. "Jae-won," Beck said. He stopped. "You did the right thing," Beck said. Quietly. Just the two of them hearing it. Jae-won nodded once. He walked out. The corridor outside was empty. He stood in it for a moment. The building's ventilation hummed. Somewhere above him a door closed. Ordinary sounds. Sung-min was at the end of the corridor. He walked over without being called, stopped 2 feet away, and waited. That was what 11 years looked like. Knowing when to come and when to wait, and never asking for more than was being offered. "It's signed," Jae-won said. "Good. The half-brother? Handled last night. He's been offered a position in the Busan branch. He took it. He's not his father's son. He just wants to be comfortable." "Good." Jae-won was quiet for a moment. "'Kay. Lost him last night. He'll surface eventually. I have people watching his known contacts. When he surfaces, give him an exit. One exit. If he doesn't take it." "Understood." Jae-won leaned against the corridor wall. The exhaustion hit him then, not dramatically, not as a collapse. Just a heaviness that had been waiting politely outside the door for 3 days and had now quietly let itself in. Sung-min stood with him and said nothing, and that was exactly right. After a moment, "Where is she?" Jae-won said. Sung-min almost smiled. "The building above the dry goods store," he said. "She said she wasn't moving again until someone gave her a reason." Jae-won pushed off the wall. "Tell her I'm coming. She'll want to know why. Tell her it's done." He walked toward the exit. Behind him Sung-min was already on the phone. Outside, Seoul was bright and cold and completely indifferent to everything that had just happened in the room behind him. He stood on the steps for 5 seconds. He breathed. Then he went to find her. She was in the kitchen when he arrived. Not cooking. Just standing at the counter with both hands wrapped around a mug of tea, looking at the window. The morning light was coming through the gap in the blackout curtain in one thin line across the floor. She heard him come in. She didn't turn around immediately. She gave him a moment. Understood instinctively that a man who had just watched his father sign his own removal needed 30 seconds of not being looked at. Then she turned. He looked different. Not broken. Not relieved. Something quieter than both, the specific stillness of a person who had been braced for a long time and had just very carefully put the weight down. "It's done," she said. "Yes." She nodded. She turned back to the counter and poured a second mug without asking and set it where he could reach it. He crossed the room and picked it up. They stood at the counter together and drank their tea and said nothing for almost 2 full minutes. Outside the dry goods store was opening. The owner rolling up the shutter, the metal sound of it rising through the floor beneath their feet. Ordinary morning. The city clocking in. "What happens now?" she asked. "To the organization. Transition Council runs it for 30 days. Then a vote on permanent leadership. You. Most likely. Do you want it?" He looked at the mug in his hands. "I want it to be run correctly," he said. "Whether that requires me specifically," he stopped. "Yes. I want it." She appreciated that. The correction. The honesty arriving a beat after the deflection, catching itself. "And your father?" "Retired. Monitored. He won't move against anything. He has nothing left to move with." K. Still loose. Sung-min is watching his contacts. She thought about K, the open window, the pulled chair, the professional disappearance. A man that clean didn't stay loose forever. He either surfaced or he didn't. Either way, it was a tomorrow problem. "You left the session," she said. "We've covered this. We covered the fact that you left. We didn't cover why." He set his mug down. He looked at her directly, the way he did when he was done managing a conversation and had decided to just be in it. "You already know why," he said. "I want to hear you say it." A pause. Short. The kind that meant he was choosing words carefully, not because he was hiding but because he wanted to get it right. "Because the vote was 5-2 and Beck didn't need me," he said. "And you did. I had Sung-min. I know. I had the clock. I had leverage. I had a plan. I know that too. So I didn't need you either," she said. "Not practically." "No," he said. "Not practically." The word hung there. She looked at him for a long moment. He looked back. Neither of them moved. Here was the thing about Jae-won Park that she had understood slowly and then all at once. He was not a man who reached. He did not pursue, did not perform, did not lean in. He positioned himself, and he waited, and he let the world come to him, and it always had. She watched him not reach now. She crossed the 2 feet of space between them and kissed him. Not desperate. Not dramatic. Just certain, the way she'd been certain about the shimmer on the wine glass, the way she was certain about most things that mattered. He kissed her back immediately. Like he'd been waiting for her to make the geometry work. To close the distance he hadn't let himself close. When she pulled back, his hand was at her jaw. He hadn't reached. But he had caught. She looked at him. "That one was different," he said quietly. "Yes," she said. "It was." He looked at her face, at her eyes specifically, the ones that had clocked a shimmer in a wine glass in poor lighting and changed both their lives entirely. "Stay," he said. Not a command. Not a plea. Just a word offered plainly by a man who didn't offer things plainly. She thought about London. About Accra. About the envelope she'd pushed back across the table. About her mother's chart and the 18-month timeline and the treatment at Severance Hospital that she still hadn't figured out how to pay for. She thought about her father sitting at his desk 3 days before he died, turning down the settlement, choosing the harder thing because it was the right thing. She thought about the fact that she was her father's daughter in every way that mattered. "My mother needs the Severance Oncology Unit," she said. "The public ward isn't enough anymore." "I know," he said. "It's already arranged." She stared at him. "When?" "This morning. Before I came here." He held her gaze. "Before I knew what you'd say." She was quiet for a moment. "That's not fair," she said. "No," he agreed. "It's not." She looked at him for another long moment. Then she picked her mug back up. "I'm not moving into wherever you live," she said. "I need my own space. Reasonable. And I'm finishing my thesis. I'd expect nothing less. And if I think something is wrong, I'm going to say so." "You've been doing that since the rooftop," he said. "I'm still here." She looked at him sideways. He was almost smiling. The real one, the one she'd seen exactly twice. Small. Quiet. Worth considerably more than the performed version other people probably got. She looked back at the window. The thin line of light on the floor had widened as the morning moved. The dry goods store shutter was fully open now. Someone downstairs was talking on the phone, voice rising and falling through the floorboards in a language she was still learning. She was still learning a lot of things. "Okay," she said. "Just that." He picked his mug back up. Their shoulders touched at the counter. Not dramatically, not with significance. Just the ordinary way two people stand in a kitchen when they've decided to stop pretending they don't want to. They finished their tea. On a Saturday morning 4 weeks after the signing, Maya took the subway to Severance Hospital. Her mother was sitting up in bed when she arrived. Better color. The particular brightness in her eyes that had been missing for 2 years was back. Faint but present, like a signal finding its frequency again. They talked for 2 hours. About Accra. About Maya's father. About the thesis. About everything except how the treatment was being paid for. Because Maya had told her mother it was a research grant, and her mother had looked at her with the eyes of a woman who had raised her and knew exactly what that expression meant, but had decided, graciously, to accept the answer. When Maya was leaving, her mother held her hand at the door. "This man," her mother said. "The one you're not telling me about." Maya looked at her. "He takes care of things," her mother said. "Before you ask him to." "He does," Maya said carefully. Her mother looked at her for a long moment. "Your father was like that," she said. "I fought it for 2 years. What changed? I realized he wasn't doing it because he thought I couldn't manage." Her mother squeezed her hand once. "He was doing it because managing alone was something I shouldn't have to do anymore." Maya stood in the doorway. "There are complications," she said. "With him. Real ones." "There were complications with your father," her mother said. "Real ones. The complication is never the question." "What's the question?" Her mother smiled. "Is he worth the complicated?" That evening J1 came at 7. He let himself in. She was at the desk finishing a section of her thesis. He went to the kitchen and she heard the sound of him making tea. He had learned where everything was by the 3rd Friday without being shown. He brought 2 mugs to the desk and set one where she could reach it and sat in the chair across from her and read something on his phone without interrupting her. She finished the section. She saved it. She picked up the mug. "My mother says hello," she said. "How is she?" "Better. Really better. Not just numbers, she looked better." "Good," he said. Simply. She looked at him across the desk. He was reading again. Jacket off. Sleeves rolled. Looking like a man who was comfortable in a room, which she had come to understand was not a small thing for him. Comfort was not a state J1 Park moved through easily. He had spent too many years in rooms where comfort was a vulnerability. In her kitchen he made tea. In her apartment he read without talking. In her small 7th-floor flat above Mapogu he looked, for the first time she had ever seen, like a man who was not braced for anything. She thought about what her mother had said. "Is he worth the complicated?" She looked at him. He glanced up and caught her looking. "What?" he said. "Nothing," she said. He held her gaze for a moment with that expression she still hadn't fully decoded. The one that sat somewhere between patience and warmth, and something that had no clean name. Then he looked back at his phone. She looked back at her thesis. Their knees were almost touching under the desk. Neither of them moved. Neither of them moved away. Outside, Seoul did what Seoul always did. Loud and bright and relentless. 12 million people moving through their lives at full speed. The Han River holding its cold line through the middle of all of it. The bridges lit up against the dark water. Up on the 7th floor, in a small apartment above Mapogu, 2 people sat at a desk and drank their tea. She had kissed him to save his life. She had no idea it would give her one. You didn't stumble onto this channel by accident. You were looking for something that actually moves you. And now you've found it. Don't lose it. Subscribe right now, hit the notification bell, and become part of a community that lives for stories this good. Tell me in the comments, what was the moment that got you? I want to know. I'll be there waiting.